Hi, love. Welcome back to another episode. Today's episode is all about the relationship between hormonal imbalances and weight. But before we get into that, let's recap the new format of the podcast. And also, I'm going to do a little disclaimer because I often don't talk about weight, but there's certain things that keep coming up in my one-on-one sessions that I just want to kind of address just so we're all on the same page. So first, we're going to run through the blend of the week, like what I've been sipping on, what's in my cup. And then from there, we're going to get into the better part of the episode where we talk about the relationship between hormone imbalances and weight gain. Then we're going to go ahead and I'm going to help you be your best. So today we are going to focus on how to curate your routine using proper hydration, remineralization and supplementation, nutrition optimization, and of course, regulation of the body for those of you with an underactive thyroid. Okay. And then last but certainly not least, we're going to do a little boosty boost. But if you follow me over on Instagram, you know that I shared a little boost tip with you on Tuesday. That's the new Tuesday thing. We're going to be boosting and bettering our health together. So if you want to get like a little preview of what will probably be in the podcast or what I'm recommending, then you know. But with that being said, I want to do a quick disclaimer. I don't often talk about weight because it's one of those subjects that's often very touchy and people get really sensitive about it. And I am just a very straightforward person. I don't tiptoe around a lot. So I don't talk about weight. But in my coaching sessions recently, there has been literally 4 different times where this phrasing has come up. And the last 2 to 3 years, I've noticed I've picked up some weight and it's just not going away. So first, let me just say this. It's okay to pick up a little bit of weight. It's okay to be slim, thick, okay? It's normal and it's natural, especially as women age, okay? We also have to realize that our metabolism slows down as we age because we are less active. So don't slight yourself, okay? If you picked up a few pounds, go ahead, girl. That's all right. Number 2, there is often a correlation between your hormones and this weight gain. So if you don't understand insulin or leptin or ghrelin, better yet, if you don't understand your thyroid and different things like that, today's episode is for you. I want you to take what you need and leave what you don't, okay? Now, let's get into my blend for the week. So this week, because I'm in my early luteal phase, baby girl has been sipping on a nice little smoothie concoction. So it's been 1 cup of frozen pineapple because pineapple has bromelain, which helps with bloating and digestion related issues. Then I have also made sure that I've been adding my aloe vera in there because if you listen to last week's episode, you know that aloe vera helps the body adapt to stress. Okay. And let me just say, I got a puppy over the weekend. He's 11 weeks old and whoo, baby girl. The first night I slept like an angel. The second night was pretty good, but night 3 and 4, Mr. Benji over here has been acting up. And before you ask, he is a mini Australian Shepherd. He is literally the best little thing ever. But also, homeboy needs a new sleep and wake routine because him waking me up at 1 a.m. and then wanting to play for 45 minutes, that's not it. And if you're wondering, did I try to put him in a crate or whatever they call it? I did. He didn't like that. And my sleep is sacred. So what I'm not about to do is deal with his whimpering. He literally had a whole diarrhea moment, which, So anyways, my blend, 1 cup of frozen pineapple, a 4th cup of frozen aloe vera, and then I've been doing about 1 to 1.5 cups of St. John's Bush. I batch brew this at the top of the week. I add it as my liquid base in my smoothie because it's supporting the liver, and I go about my business. And that's been really good. Now, if you're wondering, like, can you taste the tea? Personally, I can't taste the tea, and that's because pineapple is so sweet that, like, anything that gets paired with, like, pineapple, mango, or banana, in my opinion, it just gets masked. Like you don't notice it. So that's been the blend. Now let's delve into the better part of this episode where we talk about the relationship between hormone imbalances and weight gain. Okay. So if you're somebody who's been trying to shed a few pounds and you've been watching what you eat, you've been exercising regularly, then you might need to turn and look at your hormones, because your hormones actually play a really key role in regulating the weight. Before we really dive into understanding, this relationship, it's important that we talk about three hormones in particular: insulin, leptin, and ghrelin. Ghrelin. I do that every time I say ghrelin because it makes me think of Gremlins. If you've seen that movie, like, you get why it's like rah, 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 but whatever. So insulin, leptin, and ghrelin play a significant role in regulating weight by controlling your hunger, your satiety, and storing and burning of fat. So, insulin is produced by the pancreas in response to our food intake, and its primary function is to regulate your blood sugar levels. Insulin takes glucose from the bloodstream and stores it in fat and muscle cells. When insulin levels are too high, our body stores more fat. So, case in point, if you are a girly who has PCOS that is insulin resistant based, you may have noticed like you gained a few pounds. Why is that? Because when insulin levels are too high, your body is storing more fat. Okay? Then we have leptin, and leptin is produced by fat cells and it will act as a hunger suppressor. It signals the brain when we're full and we need to stop eating. If your leptin levels are too low, the brain doesn't receive the signal to stop eating, which often leads to the overeating and the weight gain. Okay? Then lastly, I need to readjust the way I'm sitting right now because I was sitting crisscross applesauce in my desk chair and I currently cannot feel my toes. So we got to fix that. But anyways, next up, we are going to talk about ghrelin. Ghrelin is produced in the stomach and it stimulates your hunger. It tells the brain when it's time for you to eat. And when your ghrelin levels are too high, we feel hungrier and consume more calories, which can also lead to weight gain. Now you might be thinking, look, baby girl, why are you telling me all that? Because we needed to cover the essentials of hormones that regulate your weight before we dive into common hormone imbalances that can lead to weight gain. First up, thyroid hormone imbalances. Ooh, girl, the amount of y'all who be dealing with thyroid conditions and then be looking at me like, sis, what's popping off? And then I'm like, are you on birth control? And you're all like, yeah. I'm like, okay, that's what's popping off. Okay. Because hormonal birth control does slow down your thyroid. But they're not telling you that. Anyways, I'm gonna mind my business and stay on topic. But basically, your thyroid gland is responsible for producing hormones that regulate your metabolism. If your thyroid gland is not producing enough thyroid hormones, which means you're dealing with hypothyroidism, your metabolism slows down. When your metabolism slows down, this can lead to weight gain. Conversely, if your thyroid hormone or thyroid gland produces too much hormone, hyperthyroidism, and this is where your metabolism speeds up, which causes a lot of weight loss. Now, you might be in the same camp as me where your thyroid is popping. That thyroid gland is doing what it needs to do, so you're able to maintain weight very easily, right? But if it's underactive, essentially hypothyroidism, then you're gaining weight. And if it's overactive, then you may be losing weight, okay? Another imbalance you want to be aware of is your estrogen imbalance. Now, a lot of y'all little chickens out here are running around with estrogen dominance and progesterone deficiency. And y'all already know where I stand with this. It's common, but that doesn't make it normal. But estrogen is a hormone that actually regulates, obviously, your cycle and your reproductive function, and it also affects your body weight. When estrogen levels are low, the body actually accumulates more abdominal fat, okay? On the other hand, when your estrogen levels are too high, the body retains more fluid and salt, which can lead to water weight gain. So you may notice that a lot of you, like you may experience bloating when it comes to your period, right? When you're PMSing, you're like, I am so bloated. What the heck is that? Often that's when your estrogen levels are too high and you're retaining water weight. Because once you're actually on your period 2-3 days in, you notice your bloating is going away, right? So keep that in mind. Now, another imbalance we have to talk about, we must talk about, is cortisol. Y'all, cortisol is a hormone that we know is produced by our adrenal gland, and it really does help us manage stress. When we experience chronic stress, cortisol levels stay elevated. This can lead to weight gain, particularly around your midsection. Now, I don't know if you remember that one time I talked to y'all about the addiction to stress, but if you're somebody who knows you're addicted to stress, that chronic stress may be a cortisol imbalance, and that could be linked to your weight. Okay. Now, another thing that people don't often talk about is the relationship between estrogen and cortisol, but basically they feed off of each other. So if the one's not in check, just know the other one is not in check. Now you're probably thinking, okay, sis, don't do that. Don't do that. You got to give us some tips and strategies for correcting these imbalances, right? So one of the first things I would highly recommend is lifestyle changes. I am sick and tired of being sick and tired telling y'all healthy is supposed to be simple. You really just doing the most. I don't do the most, but I do a lot of minimal things. Okay. So implementing the proper lifestyle changes can help you with your hormonal imbalances and really support your healthy weight loss. Obviously, we want to have a balanced diet, okay? But we also want to make sure that we are regularly exercising in a way that makes sense for what we're dealing with. So, case in point, if you have PCOS or Hashimoto's, right? What you should actually be doing is focusing in on weight training, going to your Pilates classes, maybe going to yoga class, and lower intensity workouts. Why? Because higher intensity workouts actually increases cortisol. And as we stated before, cortisol is linked to this imbalance that can cause you to gain weight. So we're not going to do those higher intensity things. Yes, exercise gives you endorphins, and endorphins make you happy, and happy people don't kill their husbands. Shout out to Elle Woods. We love a Reese Witherspoon moment. But you also really want to keep in mind that your cortisol increases when your heart rate is increasing, because the body's like, girl, we're in fight or flight. What's going on? Right? So down regulating that nervous system and changing up the way that you work out. Another thing you might want to consider, is getting your hormone levels checked. You can do this easily at home. You go on Amazon, you type in Everly Wells Women's Health Test, okay, baby girl, and you go ahead and you treat yourself to that $300 test. That is the least you can do for yourself, okay? Because I know you are your number one priority, and I also know that sometimes going to the doctor to get the right support is just not the vibe, because the doctors be pricey, whether you're insured or not. You might have to pay a copay, and you like, sis, don't do that. So keep that in mind. And then my last tip for you is to work with a coach. Hi, how are you? My name is Berri. I'm Berri. I'm a women's health coach, and I will help you get these hormones together in a stress-free manner. So go ahead, get to the show notes, book your one-on-one session with me, sis, and let's get into this. Now, we've just walked through the better part of today's episode, which I got to be honest with you. Yes, girl, I'm obsessed with the way that we just kind of comb through all of that. And I really hope it was digestible for you. In the event that it wasn't, go back, listen to it again. But I want to go ahead and get into the best practices for women with hypothyroidism. And also, I want to preface that this can also apply to women who have PCOS, especially insulin resistance based PCOS. I've dealt with a lot of women who have PCOS recently, but also like thyroid questions. Y'all be sliding into the DMs like, sis, can you help? So let me help you out. Remember, when we're doing the best practices part of this episode, I'm structuring it based off of how I would build out a legitimate protocol for you. We start with proper hydration, then we delve into remineralization and supplementation, and then we go into nutrition optimization, and last but not least, regulation. Okay. So listen, if you're like, sis, I can't invest in my health right now with you the way that I want to, just know that this section was literally designed with you in mind. Okay. So proper hydration. Obviously, you want to be drinking enough water. That goes without saying, but you want to definitely consider adding the thyroid healing tea from the medical medium into your routine. Okay. So this specific tea has thyme, fennel, lemon balm, and raw honey in it. Now you might be thinking, wow, that's quite a few herbs. And you're right, but it's worth it. So thyme is antiviral and it really does help with navigating so many different thyroid conditions. Okay. It literally helps your body get rid of toxins, and that is helping to relieve a multitude of symptoms related to not only weight, but everything else that's probably going on. Fennel seeds contain an aspirin-like compound that act as an anti-inflammatory property essentially to thyroids. Okay, this essentially calms your thyroid and helps improve the hormone production. Lemon balm. Y'all remember that one time I partnered with a brand and made a tea? Lemon balm was one of the teas that we did. It was one of the herbs that we used. And one of the main reasons we used it is because of the way that it supports the thyroid, the liver, and your spleen with its alkaloids and other phytochemicals. So with that being said, you're going to go ahead and add some lemon balm. And then lastly, raw honey. This is to feed your thyroid. Okay. Glucose and other nutrients in raw honey literally get mainlined into the thyroid and feed the gland. That's what we need. Okay. Now you're probably thinking, okay, I know. I need my fennel, my lemon balm, my raw honey, and my thyme. How do I make it? You're going to do about 2 cups of water, put it on your kettle, let it boil. Then you're going to add to your cup or your little steeper 1 teaspoon of thyme. Okay. Fresh thyme is best, but dry thyme works. 1 teaspoon of fennel seed, 1 teaspoon of lemon balm, and 2 teaspoons of raw honey if you like honey. If you don't like honey, just know that the 1 teaspoon of lemon balm, the 1 teaspoon of fennel, and 1 teaspoon of thyme, those are going to be very potent. But if you're like, girl, I know I need something sweet, then go ahead and add your honey. You're going to steep it for about 15 minutes. Like once your water is done boiling or at temp, you're going to go ahead and steep it for about 15 minutes and then you're going to enjoy it. I will make sure that I leave this recipe linked down in the show notes for you because I know that was a lot, but I hope it was worth it. Okay. Now let's get into remineralization and supplementation. Okay, so when you're dealing with a thyroid condition, there's a lot of different things that your body is basically going to need. One of them being selenium, another being zinc. Then we're going to go with vitamin D, and lastly, iodine. If you are not on thyroid medication. If you are on thyroid medication, iodine is not recommended. Oh, okay. So here's why we're going with selenium. Selenium is another mineral that's really necessary just for your thyroid health, and it's needed for thyroid hormone production. Okay. It also helps to protect your thyroid from oxidative stress. A great source of selenium, listen, it's going to be your tuna, maybe a little bit of catfish, okay, a little bit of salmon, but sushi, kelp, nori, your seaweeds. If you don't like that, I don't know what to tell you. Get hip, okay? Let's change your taste buds. Now, zinc, just like selenium, is needed to help the thyroid produce thyroid hormone and obviously help thyroid function. That one's pretty straightforward. Vitamin D. So people with hypothyroidism are more likely to be deficient in vitamin D. And when you have low vitamin D levels, this can negatively impact your thyroid function and obviously worsen your hypothyroid symptoms. Because vitamin D isn't necessarily in foods, supplementation is necessary, but also so is a little bit of sunshine therapy. Go outside. Okay? It's the summer. Go outside. Now, the last recommendation for remineralization and supplementation is iodine, only if you are not on a thyroid medication. Let me repeat that. Only if you are not on a thyroid medication. There are several different thyroid medications out there that do not do well with iodine. But if you're not on thyroid medication, but you know you have like an underactive thyroid, iodine is actually going to help make thyroid hormones, and a deficiency in this can actually lead to hypothyroidism. So insufficient iodine intake is actually often one of the main reasons why hypothyroidism is so worldwide. Okay. It's like worldwide, like pit bull. Okay. So you want to make sure that you have the proper iodine levels just to like mitigate this. Where can you find iodine? How can you get more of it? For me personally, I find that anytime I'm eating seafood, I am like good with iodine. So I think that's like kind of a blanket thing to go for. So again, your seaweeds, your seafoods, also beef liver and chicken, also sometimes eggs. It really just depends. I don't want to get into the details of like maybe eggs, maybe not eggs. I'm going to put that out there. Now, let me just recap those nutrients, those minerals, those supplements: selenium, zinc, vitamin D, and iodine. Now let's move into nutrition optimization, because y'all know I am all about eating your way to a better period, baby girl, period. So if you are dealing with an underactive thyroid, here's what you want to definitely consider adding to your routine. Non-starchy vegetables like your greens, your artichoke, zucchini, asparagus, carrots, peppers, spinach, mushrooms, okay? Fruit, berries, apples, peaches, pears, grapes, citrus fruits, pineapple, bananas. Then if you do want to add in some starchy veggies, because I know fall is low-key right around the corner for some of us, like here in Michigan, I can feel the nights getting a little bit crispier, and I'm like, no ma'am, no sir. But sweet potatoes, butternut squash, and peas, great starchy vegetables. Then you want to, if you're looking for protein, we have got our fish, our shellfish, and turkey and chicken, also eggs. Obviously, healthy fats need to be in the lineup, okay? Olive oil, coconut oil, avocado oil, grapeseed oil, whatever you want to do. Then there is often a recommendation that you be gluten-free, but you know how I am. You do what you want when you pop in. So think about brown rice, your rolled oats, your quinoa, brown rice pasta even. I would never, but you might. So I'm going to share that with you. And then seeds, nuts, and nut butters. So I want you to think almonds, cashews, macadamia nuts, pumpkin seeds, and like all natural peanut butter and stuff. Y'all know I love the nut butters from my friends over at Nom's. Like their hazelnut butter hits different. Their pistachio butter hits different. So if you're looking for like a little resource there, you're wanting to try something different, head on to the show notes. I will leave my Nom's code, which I think is like Berri, down below, but I honestly have no idea. And then beans and lentils, obviously we have chickpeas, kidney beans, lentils, like that. And then in terms of like your dairy and non-dairy substitutes, you can do what you want, honestly. Okay. Coconut milk and cashew milk are always highly recommended, but so is almond milk. Now, let's get into herbs and spices, because this is where I thrive. And I feel like if you're somebody who uses a lot of herbs and spices when you cook, you get it. Like the girls who get it, and the girls who don't. Fresh and dried herbs like your basil and rosemary, paprika, saffron, turmeric. Dude, all of those, salsa, mustard, like all of that is so good for nutrition optimization if you deal with hyperthyroidism. Okay. So I just want to put that out there. Yo, can we take a moment for this section of the podcast? This right here, this just chef's freaking kiss. I'm so proud that I put this together. Anyways, when we get into regulation, the main thing I want you to be focusing on, in addition to like bettering your relationship with your body, lower intensity workouts. Okay. I already talked to you about exercise when we discussed cortisol, but truly turning to Pilates and weight training, it's going to change not only how you feel and how you look, but how you just think. Okay, you will realize that you can do hard things and you will learn to absolutely love the process. So with that being said, that is our best practices for navigating hypothyroidism using my signature 4-part formula of proper hydration, remineralization, nutrition optimization, and regulation. The last thing I want to make sure I do is to give you a little boost. And can I be honest with you? I really thought that I was going to share my hack where I'm batching my teas, but the boost I want to share with you today is actually a mindset boost. I want to remind you that you are stronger than you think. You are more capable than you even realize. And in the moments where you don't know what's going to happen next or you don't trust yourself, lean into knowing that God is going to provide for you. Period. Dot. End of story. Like, I really think that recently I've been operating from this energy of God's going to come through and stepping out on faith. And it's been a boost of joy in my day when I'm like feeling down and out, when I'm feeling like, oh, Berri, like, you're just not doing enough content creation. You're not doing enough coaching. I'm actually doing that and then some, because it's not me doing it. It's God moving through me. And I just want to encourage you right now to stay the course and stay steadfast. Don't worry about anything. Keep moving forward. Okay. Listen, today's episode has been dense, but I so hope you found value in it. And if you did, I would actually really, really appreciate you popping over on Instagram and actually sending me a DM and saying, girl, that episode was good. Saying, girl, I got this, and this out of this episode. Because honestly, I'm not going to lie, I could use the encouragement right now. I feel like sometimes I'm like twiddling my thumbs. And I'm not even going to front. I want to be encouraged to keep doing what it is I'm doing with the podcast. So if you slid into my DMs and told me you got some value, you learned something, I would really appreciate it. Okay, that's going to be it for today's episode. I will see you next week. Love you. Mean it.